So here we are. This old fence, they said, well, Heidi more accurately said, was here when they moved in, and they haven't moved it. They know where the boundary is without stepping on their land. Look, you see, so that's the peg, but they've pulled it out and moved it, look. But I'm going to take their word for it, where it is. Okay, so this is all recording. So that comes straight through there, so the boundary is about there. Right, so I'll go over here. The boundary's about there, it's about a metre in from here. According to that peg, which is, yeah, just over a metre to this fence, which is on the piss. So it's about a metre from there, and that's even giving them 10 centimetres. So this is a legal recording. The boundary line is over here. Okay, and if we follow that straight through, I don't know how much you can see, but that should go straight through up there. So this boundary, the peg looks as though it's been moved, so I don't know how much to trust it. And you can see how much this is on an angle there to there, you know, like maybe my boundary actually goes the whole way to over there, which is like 3 metres, judging by that fence. But anyway, I'll take their word on it, although I will measure it and get a surveyor later if I have any doubts. Okay, so this is my junk, official record of my junk. Right, this is all I've moved so far. There's a lot more junk where this come from, sorry lady. Alright, so that's the record of my junk. Okay, as you can see, it's hidden behind the hedge, behind her shed, which is built on my land. So this is all illegal. This is all built on my land. This is 1.5 metres on my land. That's 1 metre on my land. And they're trying to build a fence, an illegal fence, and charging me for this illegal fence to build a fence along here, which is again a metre, metre and a half on my land. Judging by that, it's a metre and a half. And she only actually wants to build a fence up to her windows, and she's saying that's fit for purpose. For me, that's not fit for purpose, because as you can see, there's no fence all around the front. There's nothing at the front. So my purpose is to fence my property. Her purpose is to build a 2.4 metre high fence without consent, so that she doesn't have to look at my junk, which from her angle, so there's her window, so from that angle, this is what she sees. Right? So she must be fucking coming over and actually looking onto my land in order to complain about it. Anyway, I'm happy. Well, I'm not happy. I'm not going to help build her fence. She offered to build it. If I gave her a hand, I said yes. I showed up. It cost me $120 worth of petrol to get here. I showed up. We dug 6 holes, and then her friends turned up, and she buggered off, and her husband buggered off. So I drove back again. I was fully prepared to help them build a fence to cover their house, because I'm not fucking interested in having them peering at me and whinging and complaining. And it turns out I was quite right, doesn't it? So she can't even see this from her house, and yet she's saying I'm devaluing the property. This is a rural section. It's rural. Okay, that's enough gabber from me. So her hedge is on my land, and I'm building a shed up to my boundary because she's over the boundary, miles over the boundary. So fair's fair. Right, so here's a video of some damage. There was wire going through there, a wire fence to stop their sheep. I let them graze on here for free for almost 4 months. So they've removed the wire, but they've stood all over these XR6 lights. See, there's a broken one, broken. That case there doesn't even have a light in it anymore because the light's been smashed out over there. So that's, I don't know, $300 times 5 damage just for pulling out a bit of wire netting fence from along here, which they did whilst trespassing. Right, this is what I've done today in a few hours. So that's about my boundary. The boundary's actually about 6 inches further out than that, but I thought I'd give them a bit of leeway so they didn't whinge. But now he's going to the police because the plants that they planted on my land, you see there's the boundary there, right? So these plants are all on my land. So I pulled them out and put them here nicely for them, right, on their side of the fence line, right? He's going to the police because apparently his missus told him that I was throwing rubbish onto their fucking land. They're their plants, mate. You know, I want to do the right thing. Fucking idiots. Anyway, so we look along there. Right, so there it is there. So that's about 6 inches on my side of the boundary. So they shouldn't be complaining about anything there. Right, so this isn't a fence, it's actually a shed. You see, it's the same height as their shed. So their shed is encroaching onto my land by 1.5 metres. And I've only taken about 1.20 metres back. Well, actually, only 8. Yeah, no, about 1 metre. I've taken 1 metre back. Right, so That's what they built on my property, right? They said that this fence was already here when they got here, right? So they don't own it, they haven't put it in, right? They told me it was there. In fact, they told me they've only owned the place a year, and these posts are definitely over a year old. So, you know, so that's on my land, I own it, I removed it, I gave them their trees back as I said, and now he's off ringing the police because apparently I'm dumping rubbish on his property, right? This is the stupid shit you get in small town New Zealand. Fucking idiot neighbours. Unbelievable.